Jim, we meet again.
Yes, we do.
It was, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, I think we shot a show down in Tucson,
correct,
Arizona. And you had a great, it was a Coronet, wasn't it?
1968 Coronet 500.
Really an interesting car. And lo and behold, I'm going down the show field and I find another really interesting car, and who owns it? You do.
I enjoy building interesting cars. That's kind of what I do.
So this is a 63 Dart?
Correct.
Dart. And did you build this thing?
I did, yep.
Wow. So where did you find it?
Found it on Craigslist. After my Coronet, my wife said, I want a classic car. She found this convertible. She's always wanted a convertible and said, build that car for me. So I built the car for her.
So you built the car for her. Was it in decent shape, or?
It was a original Tucson car, so
solid.
People would think it's solid, but these are rust traps. There's places where mud gets in, especially convertibles. Mud gets in there and it just rusts out, especially in the rear quarter panel. So I did have to put a bunch of patches in the back.
Oh, really? Because I bet nobody's repopping quarters for this car.
Absolutely not.
Gee, go figure. But you know, you always hear about Arizona cars and they're solid and all that. And even if that's true, they still have baked interiors.
Correct.
Just completely baked out. So I'm
Yep.
sure that was the case.
Just the interior was baked.
Baked. Wow. So how long did it take?
It takes me about 18 months to go from start to finish.
That was kind of the number for the Coronet too.
Correct.
I mean, you really work fast.
Right, and I was working full time at that time too. I'm retired now, so I should be able to turn them faster.
Yeah, really. So a whole 18, what's going on, man? So how about like all the little lettering and stuff? Was that all there?
Everything was here. Yeah, that was one thing you got to be careful on these early ones. Is it's hard to these trim rings.
Yeah.
These trim rings are gold.
Really, eh?
Yeah, because people would run into stuff and dent them and crush them.
Well, you know, they're surprisingly big.
I call them torpedo launchers.
Does kind of look like that, doesn't it? Is that a factory color?
It's a color, yes, this is a factory dark turquoise.
Gosh, it looks
The car
great.
was originally white, but I had to change it.
What are your wheels? American Racing or?
The American, US Mags. US Mag slots.
Looks great, looks great. And I obviously you've redone the interior. Was it originally this two-tone, or is this a stock
To be
pattern?
honest, I don't know, because it was
so
an Arizona.
far
Well, it was an Arizona car, and it had already been reupholstered once.
Oh, I
so
see.
I don't know what it really looked like, but this is a factory pattern. I found what the factory pattern looked like and had a local guy here in Tucson actually try to reproduce.
Well, you know what's really interesting is this setup. The armrest back here, this kind of cove. What is that? Is that metal or?
Fiberglass.
It's fiberglass.
This is fiberglass.
Gee, that I'd never noticed that before. That's kind of stylish. Very Dodge Dash.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
With the push button trans.
With the push button trans.
So it was a Dart 270. What was that designation?
Similar to the Coronet 500. It's
a number.
It's a number that kind of defines the trim package.
Okay. And what was special about the 270? I mean, well, obviously it's a convertible, or this one is anyway. 270
should have had moldings all the way down the side for chrome. The wife didn't like them. Off they go, and they actually accentuated how big those headlights were because it was like an arrow pointing right to them.
If you didn't think they were big enough, look at this.
Look at this. Well, that was what 63 was about, right? Is showing off those big headlights.
Yep.
And so those are gone.
Is that a padded dash or not? That's a metal dash, isn't it?
It's a metal dash. You didn't need a padded dash until 65, I think.
And they didn't put one in until then.
And if you didn't order it, you didn't get it.
Wow. A new carpet kit, obviously, too. This is cool. You left the trim here.
So you actually have to, because the way this is made is these are two pieces of metal that are welded underneath here. So you have to have that on there.
And then back to these. Was this the same tail light as 62 or similar?
No, 63,
totally
64. 64 had a little bit of chrome around the edges just to kind of trim it off a little bit. But those are not repop, so those are another piece of this that are very difficult to get.
Well, let's go see what's under the hood of this massive 270.
All right.
Open her up, Jim. Let's have a look. Oh, wow. Okay, so I wasn't expecting that. I was kind of expecting a Slant 6.
63, that was the only option you could get.
Then that was a good expectation.
Yes.
But I wasn't expecting this weird manifold setup. That's not dual quads, is it dual twos?
Dual singles.
Dual singles.
Yep.
Wasn't that like Hudson's twin H-Power? Wasn't that dual singles?
I believe so.
It's kind of reminiscent of that.
Yes.
That's not a factory option, was it?
That is not a factory option. when the Slant 6s were developed and came out in 60, Offenhauser saw the potential for the Slant, getting the hood down, low center of gravity, so they were thinking racing right off the beginning.
Yeah.
So Offenhauser immediately came out with that 2 one-barrel carburetor manifold for the racing circuit.
2 one-barrel seems really weird to me, though. Are they really big barrel? I mean, is it big throughput, or it's just...
So you got to remember that when these cars were done, it was a 170 motor, not a 225.
Oh,
so you really didn't need a lot of CFM. They were small engines.
And you know, it's funny, and maybe it's just because of that offset manifold setup, the valve cover looks abnormally big to me, but it's not.
It is not.
That is just how it would look.
That is just how they look.
It's just because you can see it. Because I mean, if it was normal, there would be a big regular air cleaner sitting here.
Yeah, correct. There would be a much larger air cleaner that kind of partially covered the
with low
valve
ball
cover. Correct.
Because that valve cover looks huge.
Yep.
Wow,
correct.
I mean, you've done a nice job, and you got body color in the engine compartment. That's a total Mopar thing.
That's a total Mopar thing.
Mopar thing. You wouldn't miss it. And I mean, everything looks great. You even dressed up the steering box. Is that what I'm looking at down there?
Yeah, I bead blasted it and clear coat all my. I mean, these are ground up restorations with every nut and bolt cleaned, polished, painted.
You're excessive.
And I do it to the point so it's easy to maintain afterwards.
Well, that's true. He does clean up.
Right,
nice.
It cleans up super simple, and it looks better. It maintains.
This setup, I've never seen this setup. I love it. I think I'd drive around with the hood open. I think it's that cool. Close it back up. It's just a great, fun-looking car. And I bet your wife really digs it.
I don't know. She never drives it because I've always got it.
Well, tell her it's nice.
Okay. But she is very excited about this, so that her car is going in the interview with you. So.
Yay! So it's a 1963 Dodge Dart 270 convertible with a Hyper-Pak. What's that called?
So they had a Hyper-Pak option add-on racing kit.
So this is a
early.
Hyper-Pak-esque.
Hyper-Pak-esque is a good way to put it, correct.
Sure, thanks a lot. Let's do this again sometime.
Yeah, sure.
All right,
well, I got another one's coming. So.